Well, I appreciate everybody coming out today. I know you guys don't want to hear anything at all about our basketball camp, but if y'all get a chance to promote it at some point on the air between now and June 20th or whatever, we'd appreciate it. Meantime, we'll talk a little bit about recruiting, okay? By the way, we do have two camps, June 20th. June 20th is our father-son basketball camp. And the other one is June 29th through July 1st, our individual skills camp. In the meantime, we'll talk a little bit about recruiting, okay? We've more or less finished up our recruiting class, and we're excited about it. The latest addition that we added is a young man named Dominic Artis, who started at the University of Oregon on a Sweet 16 team. We think he is really going to enhance our backcourt. We really worked hard on that part of our team going into this next year, anticipating the loss of Julian Washburn as a big guard. And in the preseason, we signed Lee Moore, who going into September was regarded to be the #1 junior college guard in the country. Unfortunately, only played 3 games over at Wichita, at Wallace State. Way to go. We'd be on top of it. And had to sit out. We think he's a good guy. We think he's really a kind of guy that can represent us well. And we think as a result of the experience that he had last year, will be a guy that's going to come in here and do the right thing. And another backcourt player that we added, Josh McSwiggan, is going to play in the European 20 and under games representing England. If you get a chance to look at any of his video, I think it would excite you. I mean, he's a guy that can really run and jump. He's a guy that can make shots from beyond our three-point line. He's been watching a lot of YouTube videos of some of the better players here in the States. We're going to have to try to get some of that stuff out of him that he's added to his game, and that's been his foray into American basketball. The preseason, we signed a couple of bigger guys. Paul Thomas, 6'9", anticipating that Vince Hunter may leave us prematurely, which he did. And Paul is a guy at 6'9" who can play the small forward. He can play out on the floor. I think he shoots the ball a little better than Vince did from the perimeter. He's a guy that I think passes a little better than Vince did. I don't know that he'll rebound it quite at that level, but very versatile, terrific athlete who is just going to get better and better. At one point, he was rated the 8th best player in the state of Texas. Another young man we brought in, Christian Romines, we signed early, will be one of the younger seniors in the country this year at 6'9½", about 220 pounds. Is a guy who will play a lot with his back to the basket, can face and make a jump shot, but gives us a guy that can help move into the role that Hooper Vent played his first couple of years here. There may be a red shirt in order for him at some point just because of how young he is, but we think he's really going to enhance our rebounding, which is a big part of what we're trying to do. And another young man announced last week from Hobbs, New Mexico, that he'll be attending here, and he led their team to the state title. He's only been playing basketball 4 years, grew up in the interior of Mexico, and left there at 15 over all the violence that was occurring in his region. His father was the mayor of a small town. Moved to North Dakota, was introduced to basketball, moved down to Hobbs, and has just grown by leaps and bounds. Can run, jump. He's got to get better, but we're excited about his future. His name is Kelvin Jones at 6'11", probably 230 pounds. So it's a big class. We feel like for the first time we have gotten to a point to where we now have a program going. We lost 4 key players a year ago, and now who are you? Well, we think we're going to be good again just because of the guys that we have returning and because of the newcomers that we have coming in. Our classes are staggered to where if we take a hit with a couple seniors leaving, we should have younger guys moving in. And this has been a real process to get it to this point, given the fact that we lost 11 players in our first year and had to completely rebuild it. Okay, y'all thought you were going to ask questions. I basically gave a Lions Club speech to you here today, and y'all can decipher what you want.
Well, Coach, I have a question for
Yes,
you.
okay.
Regarding Artis, is there something, he had some problems at Oregon.
Yes, he did.
Is there something he said or did to assure you that he's on the right path and would be a viable pickup here?
I think that's a very fair question. And as you know, I think the fact that since we've been here, we've just had remarkable kids. We really have not had any issues. And we did our research and we did our due diligence. We made many, many calls on Dominic. The first thing that jumped out at us is that he was not charged at Oregon. And the second thing that jumped out at us is that we just got glowing reports from people going back to his high school days, his AAU teams, but more importantly, Matt Wilms, who played with him at Findlay Prep. And Matt endorsed him at a high level. And Matt knows the standard of performance, but also the standard of conduct that we insist on with our players. And he felt like Dominic was very low risk, a good person. And after we met his family, we're convinced that he is not going to be any type of issue for our program, is going to represent us well the 2 years that he's here.
I feel like this is like maybe one of the best true point guards you've had since you've been here.
I do. I feel like he has an opportunity to solidify that position. And I've always felt like some of my best teams, in fact, the best teams in this school's history, played 2 point guards at the same time. We may be at a point where we're able to do that. You don't want to do it just to say you're doing it, but if you feel like you've got 2 first-team all-league type guys, it can really move your program forward. And you go all the way back to Bobby Joe Hill and Willie Worsley in the title game, 2 points. And best team at Iowa State history. Had a guy by the name of Michael Nurse and Jamal Tinsley. Best team in Oklahoma's history. Had 2 point guards in Ricky Grace and Mookie Blaylock. And I can go on and on in that area, you know, with Jay Williams and Chris Duhon at Duke. So we may be getting to a point where we can do that if Omega Harris continues to develop and grow, but we're going to have a lot of options in the backcourt, and we feel like we might have the best perimeter intact that we've had since we've been here. And as our fans know, teams that advance in the NCAA tournament generally have great backcourts, and the team that won our league last year, Louisiana Tech, had the best backcourt in our league.
Just talking about the recruiting class and the stagger, but also the players coming off redshirt, like Trey Touchette, Tevin Caldwell, Jake Flaggart. I mean, the additions that have them back.
Yeah, you do that for a lot of reasons, the redshirting, and we did it a year ago because we knew that we had a veteran team. We knew that we had young guys that may get frustrated. We knew we had young guys that needed to get better. And I think we're going to look back on what we did and feel really good about the addition of Trey Touchette, now as a true freshman, a backcourt player, who I will put into that conversation with being able to come in here and compete for a job. He was the player of the year in Louisiana back-to-back years. Jake Flaggart, 18 minutes a game in conference play as a true freshman. Redshirting at 6'7", now stronger, better shooter, more skilled, can really help us. Tevin Caldwell, we gave the ultimate honor to as a walk-on. We scholarshiped him and redshirted him because we felt like he had some of the intangibles that Julian had in terms of being able to provide the stopper and the toughness that you need to go win on the road with. And in Terry Wynn, 6'7", 215, 220, a little bit of a duplication of Vince a year ago, wasn't going to play a great deal, needed to get better in some skill areas. He'll be a true freshman and a guy that can go rebound the basketball. So you add those guys to the younger guys that we just mentioned that are joining our program. We have classes that are staggered with a veteran and a young player at every position. And we also have talent, we feel like, at every position. And I'll reiterate something I said late in the season. We don't recruit backups. We recruit guys that we feel like can go and not only start for us, but other teams in our league.
Any scheduling updates?
You know, we're closer to completing it based on the Sun Carnival and who they present us with in the Sun Bowl. But really still not quite ready to announce it. We are going to play in a tournament in Corpus Christi that's pretty much out there. The field has not been completed as of today. And our normal games with New Mexico State, and we've got a return game with Washington State up at their place, and they'll be much improved this year and ready to beat us after 2 previous wins against them.
You saw Vince at the combine, and had a pretty good couple of stretches at the scrimmage. How, as a coach, as a former coach, how does that make you feel to see him perform as well as he did?
Do you know, we're getting such great feedback on Vince from a lot of NBA teams. We've had many conversations, and he's really helped himself in the spring. We're also getting great reports on Julian Washburn, and the draft will be June 25th, and we're hopeful that both these young men are going to get drafted. There'll probably be 15 guys from overseas drafted. There'll be 45 who played college basketball here, and there's a possibility the Miners could have 2 of the 45, which is really great. And Julian's really opened some eyes as well.
When you talk about, you mentioned the overseas guys, and you talk about recruiting a guy who's playing overseas already. He's got options. He can go play pro ball over there. He chose to come here to UTEP to get a guy with that kind of talent overseas. I'm curious, what was the pitch? What did he like so much about this program?
Well, he had options, and Josh is familiar with the fact that we've had a really good run of guys his size that were backcourt players. Julian Stone most recently here, but now Julian Washburn, who we think will be a draft pick. But going back to USC, guys like Nick Young and O.J. Mayo and DeMar DeRozan, Gabe Pruitt, who all went on to play in the NBA in that 4-year period. So, he has the ultimate goal. He wants to go make money playing, and he fell in love with El Paso when he came in here, and I think our fans are going to fall in love with him over time.
Also on the new rules, the 30-second shot clock, the charging circle being a little bit wider, just your thoughts on it.
Well, I think that the Rules Committee is grasping right now for ways to increase scoring. They may have decreased it by jumping to the 30-second clock. I think what we're going to see is not as free-flowing a game because we're going to see a lot of zones. We're going to see three-quarter court zone traps, zone presses to delay the ball getting into play. Then teams falling back to a zone where you have to reverse the ball from wing to top to wing to top to probe a zone. And then you're going to see a lot of bad shots at the end of the clock. And I hope that's not the case, but that's my guess.
It's a little cynical.
Yeah, it really is a cynical view from a guy who is basically pretty cynical.
Well, is it going to change the way you guys play? I mean,
I think we're going to review a lot of things, and I think the best way that they could have increased scoring was to have increased the clock to 45 seconds, which would have not had people dabble with a three-quarter court trap press, containment press, falling back to a zone, which takes a long time to probe. All right? I think that it really going the other way may have been better. I think what they'll probably do is also come back and really emphasize touch fouls in order to put teams at the foul line a lot, which I don't think fans want to see a great deal of that either. They want to see us get up and down and go play.
Last one from me, Coach. Andy Katz kind of ruffled some feathers with some UTEP fans talking about the Iowa State job. Is there any truth, anything like
What
that?
What did he
He's
say?
talking about that maybe you would be linked if Fred Hoiberg took the Chicago Bulls job. There's a possibility that your name would be linked to it. Kind of ruffled some feathers, had some fans kind of worrying about that, talking about that a lot of different forums.
Well, you got to understand that Andy Katz is right about 1 out of every 10 times. All right, so we'll just leave it at that. All right.
Last for me, just talk about the 4-day camp and the duration of it. What does it entail for the people that sign up for the 4 days?
The skill camp is for youngsters, boys and girls, 7 through high school age, who just want to increase their skill level. They'll be broken down into guards and forwards and centers, and we'll work on everything from learning how to dribble to pass to shoot it based on their age level. And then they always want to have fun and get out and play a little bit at the end of camp. So we'll have some team competitions and let them go play for the gold on the final day.
And they also get to interact with players and coaches, right?
Yes, they do. We're going to have a lot of our players here working the camp, and our coaches as well, along with other coaches from here in the community.